take us back to the very beginning. Where did life start out for you, Phil?
Life started out for me in Marion. And if you ever go down Finnish Street in Marion, you can still see our original house, which was the old Marion Hotel,
Okay.
which is heritage listed, and I hope it never, ever gets knocked down.
Mm.
So as you turn off of Marion Road, turning to Finnish Street, you'll see this lovely old building on your right, built in 1851, 13 rooms and 2 cellars. And this is what I was introduced to as a little bubby on the 20th of March 1946.
So are
Okay.
you saying that you lived in there, or was it actually a hotel and
No.
your parents owned it?
Oh, sorry. The licence was never in our name. The licensee moved up to the Flagstaff, Flagstaff Hotel, as I've been told, and Mum and Dad took it over, and Mum wanted to run a boarding house. She said she thought she could make some money with the boarding house. With 13 rooms, you see, and 5 kids. Well, then we only had 3. There was my brother and my older sister and me, and then 2 more came along after.
Right.
So we all had our own bedrooms, and it was just a monstrous playground on an acre of land, a big triangle. So we owned all the land at the back, and grandfather grew fruit trees there. And we had a shed to play in. We had cubby houses in the backyard. It was just a great time. And Marion in those days, you could stand in the middle of Finnish Street and see 1 car an hour. It was just amazing. There was no traffic. And incidentally, a lot of people didn't realise that Marion Road didn't always go all the way through. It stopped at the Sturt Creek. So it was just a far bigger job for what highways could do, is to put that all in a concrete drain, which they did in 67, 68 when I was away. So Marion Road then goes through, but in my day, all the traffic came down Finnish Street, down Township Road, down Norfolk Road, and came back onto Marion Road. That's the bus, trucks, billy carts, everything. It was just impassable because there was a big fence there and
Right.
a wandering natural creek.
So even then, it was a very quiet part of the world, but you had all this land and this home to play in with your siblings.
Yeah, and fruit trees, we could just go and pinch our neighbours' grapes, and and the kids used to come home from school and they'd end up at my place and let's go down the creek. So we'd all go down the creek and play around down the creek and go into the grapevines and have bunches of grapes this big, and watermelons were growing not far away, and the guys had left the watermelons there that were tarted or sun damaged or something, so we'd chop open watermelons, and it was just great. And we'd, well, anyway, that's when I started school, of course. And for the first couple of weeks, I can remember Mum taking us in the car. And then from there on, I had to ride my bike with my sister. And then the days of the steam train, so we'd ride all the way from Marion Road up to Ascot Park School and stand by the train line when the huge puffing billy would go past.
Right.
And they were monsters, you know, and you'd stand there and you'd just shake because this huge train would go rattling past, and then you'd carry on onto Ascot Park School.
So that's what you did for fun. You just
Yeah,
stood next to a train.
Yeah, and then on the way home, you wouldn't go straight home because you had to go and visit a couple of mates, or go and dilly-dally down around the back streets and whatever. And then from Ascot Park School, I went right through to grade 7. And then from there, went to Mitchell Park Boys Technical High School,
Okay. Yeah.
which was, you know, a bit of a culture change because it was an all-boys school. But my favourite subject was woodworking because my dad was into wood. He used to make doors, had furnace doors.
Okay.
But before that, they made caravans, furnace caravans. So my great love of caravans started at a very early age. And,
I want to know more about the 13-room hotel.
okay, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, let's go back to that. What did you do with the other rooms that
Oh,
weren't
well,
being
that's
used?
when Mum did start a boarding house.
Okay.
Because we had a big long passage down the middle of the house where Dad would put in the petition here because he could knock up a quick petition and say, right, that's for the... There was a family there of Ceylon people, Ceylonese, back in those days it was called Ceylon instead of Sri Lanka. And this husband and wife made the greatest curry you've ever tasted. And I still can't replicate that curry. Anyway, they invited us to tea and we'd have their curries. And then we'd leave and walk down our passage. And we still shared the same bathroom, so we had to come through the door, go up to the bathroom, because we only had one bathroom for many, many years until...
I'm sorry, there was 13 rooms and there was only one bathroom in the whole...
Yeah, oh yeah. And then when they left, we had a single guy there, and then Dad used to drink with him and get all the stories of Holland because he was Dutch. And eventually... people would come and go, and I can't quite remember. Oh, and then the toilet was out the back.
Okay, so it wasn't an indoor toilet.
No.
Yeah.
And it served, like, it was originally the ladies and the men's, but then that became the boarders and our toilet. And you'd have a candle in there because it was all dark. Now, this is in the 50s.
Yeah.
And it was so primitive back then, you can't believe it. You know, we had septic tanks and the bus used to come past, well, the bus stops right out the front of now it's we used to call it 8 Finner Street, Marion, but now it's 6 Finner Street, Marion. For some reason, we lost 2 numbers. Anyway, as Marion's, a great historic place, you can just drive around all the back streets in that little area where there was quite a regular little community, like one shop, one telephone box, and a grain store, and... if you get into the back streets, you can work it out where now it's all, and very few back streets because it was all market gardens, and the market gardens didn't like selling off anything. So they thought, we're just going to keep this bit. And so we drive around Marion now. Where's all the back streets? There isn't any. Yeah. Because they've lost them all.
Yeah. So, certainly a different era to what Marion's known for now.
Yes.
It's a part of Adelaide that is a shopping hub, and it's... central, but a hugely different world.
Yes. Anyway, that was the Marion that I grew up in, and pedalling all the way down to Ascot Park Primary School, which I still have probably 2 friends that were in primary school with me. One I don't see that often, but the other one I see quite regularly.
So with the creek, what type of things did you get up to when you were in the creek?
Exploring a creek at 10 years old.
Amazing.
It's amazing. We'd just go in shoes, no boots. We didn't have boots, so we'd just go and come home with sodden socks. And it was certain places you couldn't go any further past the Finner Street Bridge. That was a no-no because you were getting away. And then down the end of the street was my good friend Rolly, who I still see today. I saw him on the weekend, a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, and we'd either be down at Rolly's place investigating the creek down there, or come up to our place and wander up. But then it used to flood. And when it flooded, we'd all get panicky because the water would come almost up to the hotel, the Finner Street and Jacob Street intersection. Because you wouldn't believe the water. It was just sheeted everywhere. Used to come over at about the intersection of Sturt and Marion Road and start there because that's a bit of a low point and you couldn't get past, so you had to turn around and come back again. But, now it's in a concrete drain. It can handle a lot of water. But in those days it couldn't handle. And Dad would he'd sit up there for a couple of hours thinking, the creek's coming up. But it never actually got to our door, just enough. You could paddle out and then you could see it getting deeper all the time.
Yeah.
It was, and market gardens all around. We could go and get tomatoes over the road. Oh, the Scout Hall was over the road too, which I did join the Scouts, the Cubs and the Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
I love this picture of a very different world that you're painting.
I
But some would remember, some of our viewers and listeners, but very different.
Thanks for watching this short clip of Life Bus. Make sure that you hit the subscribe, like, and follow button. And for more, head to rawcut.com.au.